Okay. Hi, everybody. Hey, Suge. That's gonna be my new catchphrase. I've decided. So, filming's gonna get a little iffy. We're gonna say, as we try out new angles. And I'm trying my iPad. The camera's not really giving what we're looking for me personally. My iPhone was looking a little better, but we're gonna just try as we go. All right. Who's ready for part two of the story of my life? I guess. This is going to be called Chapter 2 The Ride. Okay. We're also doing the same thing, which is going to be my. Let me move this slide out of the way. Okay, okay. Well, here we go. Ooh. Let's try that. Okay, yeah, so Chapter 2 The Ride. We last left off. I was giving a little bit of detail on my family, how I grew up, and when I started doing I don't know if I can say it on this app. Jergs, we'll call it that. For the first time, which was in high school, my freshman year. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Okay, Mike did so get that good quality. But anyway, so like I said, I took my first pill in high school, my freshman year. And still this day, I'll still say it was the best feeling I ever felt of anything in my life. It just made me feel so warm, and really the numbness is what I loved. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel anything. I just felt like I could take on the whole world. And that was a beast in its own, I noticed. So that made things a little tougher for me. I moved in with my dad, and we just didn't have the best relationship. I was I hate sharing this part because it's just a tough part for me to remember. He said he didn't like who I was as a person, that I wasn't like one of his other kids. That was always a thing, is why can't you be normal like the rest of my kids? And that I reminded him of my mom, and he'll never admit it, but he loved my mom. He still does love my mom, and he never wanted her to leave, but she left because of the abuse. And that was really tough on me. My mom was my best friend, and I had lost her. And then I moved into this situation with my dad. He, picked at me about my sexuality before I even came out. I didn't even know I was gay at the time. And so that was hard. I dealt with a lot of really, really, really tough things, like being woken up in the middle of the night for no reason and just being screamed at for hours about how he hates me and wishes I was normal and that I shouldn't love my mom and that I'm an idiot and just everything really. And that was normal. My nose was broken. I was thrown through a table. Just a lot of really terrible things. The funny thing is, out of all the abuse, I think the mental abuse was the worst because it still sticks with me. Still struggle with my weight because of it. Um, and the deprivating talk to myself. Um, you know, and so really this just drove me more into my addiction because the only way that I could escape and feel normal were to do drugs, really. And I think that was the hardest thing. And I was a kid. I wasn't educated. I had no idea what drugs even were really. I didn't even know what was one of my mom, truthfully, at the time. So to me, it was just something fun to do and something that made me feel good. And I was like, why not? So I started partying. I had a cousin named Brittany who was a little bit older than me, and we connected at some family events on my dad's side, and we just got really, really, really close. So we hung out from then up until now, literally. And she had some really good friends that she had grew up with that became my good friends. Um, and we liked to party as kids, drinking and stuff. And it's funny, they were only a town over, but when I was with them, I felt so free and escaped. Like I wasn't around any of the bad, and it was just like my getaway. I had really good friends at home that I went to school with, but those are really my people, and I could get away. And it's funny. It's so embarrassing to me. That's how I realized I was gay because one of our friends, Brittany, had a stepbrother. Hi, Kierman. And he was the first guy I ever liked. First, I don't know if I would call it love. At the time I thought it was love, but he was like the first guy I ever liked or loved, whatever. So it opened up a whole different door for me. So I had that going on too. And I was just partying and doing pills, and a lot of the memories looking back now, I wouldn't say they're good memories, but they weren't bad, I guess. It was when I felt the most like myself and like I escaped. But as we all know, it gets worse addiction. So one time I couldn't find pills. So my mom got back with my stepdad, okay? Who had my little brother, and then I'd go there on the weekends, and she was not clean still. Um, so that was hard because she was always more like my friend than my mom. So we had a little bit of a relationship. But I remember one time we couldn't find pills, and she got me something else. I probably won't say what it is, whatever. Um, and that was the first of me doing really hard drugs. Was introduced by my mom, pretty much. Um, and no one. First, let me just say, no one's ever to blame for your addiction. I was an addict on my own. You can't blame anybody for anything. You know what I mean? It's just not. You make your own decisions whatsoever. But I started doing harder drugs, and that's where things really got worse for me. I was so good in school. I got straight A's. I was supposed to graduate early, but then I started doing the harder drugs my senior year. And I just started messing up, and I started becoming sick, going through withdrawal, being off and on the drugs. Wasn't able to finish school, and luckily I had a teacher who was just so sweet, and she believed in me, and I don't really know why. Well, I guess I do know why, but she was amazing. Her name was Miss Harden, and she gave me $200, and she took me to rehab at 18, and she made sure that I got all my schoolwork. They brought all my work to me and stuff. I got myself into rehab because I knew with watching my mom, it wasn't the life that I really wanted for myself. So I found one, signed myself up, and I went. Uh, it didn't really do the best there. I ended up leaving with a boyfriend, which was not a good idea. And more friends, which got me even into deeper, deeper drugs. Yeah, I had a best friend named Jamie, and I remember when I met her, I knew the day I met her that we were gonna be a good bad match, if you know what I mean. She was beautiful. She was my best friend for years. We went through a lot of things together. We moved in together. We were roommates, and she just saw me at my worst, really. Um, but our addictions fed into each other because we used together, and it was weird. It was like our stories were so at the same as they go on, same spots and everything. Um, and yeah, my addiction got a lot worse. I started dating guys I wasn't supposed to be dating, doing things I wasn't supposed to be dating, and it just had such a grip on me. Truthfully, I never thought I would ever get out of it. I just loved it so much. I never thought ever. Luckily, I didn't get in any trouble ever, so that was really good. But I guess just as time went on, um, I don't know. I just knew it wasn't what I wanted. The fun times end. That's the truth they say. The fun times end right away, honey. They do not last at all. It stopped being fun so early on. Um, and so I guess I just kept trying to get clean, joining centers and stuff and groups, and I didn't want to give up, I just not at all. My sister is my best friend. She's my twin sister, pretty much. It's always been just the two of us. I raised my siblings, and we were all each other had, and I knew I had to fight for her. I couldn't leave her in this mess alone, and that always kept me fighting always. And it wasn't perfect. There's a lot more to the story that we'll get into. Some more scenarios that I'll tell you about, but um, I didn't finish high school. I ended up dropping out because when I got out of rehab, like I said, was using and stuff. But I ended up getting my GED eventually. And then I got to a place where I was like using, but I was maintaining, so still living a normal life. To be honest, I think that was worse than anything else because everybody knew, but it wasn't bad enough for someone to step in or for it to be a problem. Um, and I got to a place back home where I knew I had to get away to do what I needed to do. They say you can't change locations and run from your problems, but I think the difference is it's not running from your problems if you're trying to change. I will say when I got here, I think I was running from things, but I wasn't running from my addiction necessarily. I really put in the work to change a lot. And that's what I did really. I knew what I wanted for myself, and I just told myself, I believe in harm reduction, which means just to be better today than you were yesterday. It wasn't about like cold turkey all at once for me, and I think that's what helped me and what got me to being all the way clean eventually. was that, and I just kept pushing. And when I moved to Colorado, I was by myself. I didn't know anybody here. I had never been here, never even been on a plane. And I lived in a hotel, and I was leaving someone that I loved a lot, that I was with, that was horrible for me. And I had just started like using again, and I just knew I would die if I didn't leave, you know. And so I stayed with my sister a couple days before I'm leaving, and the day before I left was probably one of the hardest days of my life, honestly, because of some things that happened. And we'll get into that in chapter 3. Oh, but I know I'm kind of like skimming through things a little bit. If you guys want me to go more in depth, just let me know. It's hard on here because people don't have good like long attention spans. There's a lot that I want to share, and I think I will break it down some parts as well. But right now, I'm just kind of filling out the outline of the story of my life, you know. So we're finishing up these freckles too, honey. I gotta show you guys tomorrow or something what they look like, because I know I look crazy as fuck. And imagine doing this early in the night, honey, and then having to go to the store or somewhere. I look like I have a fucking venereal disease on my face. So yeah, I know it looks crazy, but it's worth it. Trust me, or I wouldn't do it. You know me, I'm a beauty is pain type of bitch, and I'll do whatever I gotta do, honey, to look my best. You know? But they just give you like a faint little freckle, and it's so cute. So I'll have to show you guys. They're not dark or anything, and they look natural. And they usually last a couple days, just depending on how long you let them sit. I always do them right before I go to bed. That way, I can, sleep with them on, which is fucking annoying sometimes. But, honey, it's the only time I got to dedicate to anything like this, you know? So, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. It feels good to be able to open up to people and to share who I am and not be ashamed of where I come from, you know? When I first moved here, I didn't tell anyone about my past. I've been here for 5 years, and really still not a lot of people know about it. But I told myself, like, you can't be ashamed of where you come from, and the right people will love you no matter what. And it's still, like I said, it's a part of who I am, and I wouldn't be where I am now if I wasn't where I was, you know? So I think it's just fun to tell you guys a little bit of who I am, I guess, you know? Um, and like I said, give me some ideas of some more stuff you guys want to see. I'm gonna start a series soon of, like I said, starting a business from scratch. What you do, the steps, all the things. I'm gonna start filming that probably next week, so I could show you guys, like, take you along the adventure with me. But I might do some cooking things and stuff too. And I don't know. This channel is just really for me to just be myself, and to leave memories for my nieces and nephew to look back on when I'm gone one day, and to just have fun and to be myself. And I guess I struggle with being myself really because of how I look. I feel like I'm ugly and fat and stuff, and I'm trying to overcome that right now, I guess, you know? I just want to exist and be me and do whatever strikes me at the moment. I think that's really what's most important to me right now. So, all right. Love you guys. I will see you guys sometime soon, okay? Bye.